I'm going to go over a few tickers on the 5-minute time frame and give you some price targets for Monday. First up is Soxl. We ended the day at $29.30, up 0.45%. To the north side, takes us back to the middle of the trend and the baseline, and that is roughly $29.93. That is also one level of resistance and a potential take profit area. Above that takes us to $30.79. If we are lucky, we could get to also this level at $31.22, and 4 standard deviations takes us to roughly $31.65. That could come at a later date. Now to the south side takes us back to one level of support, and it happens to line up with this gap that begins at roughly $28.98. The gap closes to the downside at $28.68. $28.58 is roughly -3 standard deviations, and below that that would be $28.14. That is one level also of support and also a potential stop loss area, as well as this area and this area. And as you can see, we are in an upward channel. And by the end of the week, let's mark this out. So by the end of the week, the middle of the trend could take us to roughly 33.37 and 31.58, where we could land if we continue to go up. Looking left, you can see we have a gap fill to still get to at 27.22. And there's another one that is still in play to the south side at 26.52. This gap taking us to 28.51, closed out on September 10th. That is no longer in play, so congrats. We went down and then we reversed and closed to the upside already. But yeah, that's kind of a painful move from here to down here. I should turn off my magnet because it gets wonky on me. That is roughly, with that wick, down 17%. Yikes. Delete. That's done, 27.35. And what happened here? This was an anticipated move up to 29.34, and we hit it on Wednesday, September 10th. So congrats if you made some money off of that, playing the long game. All right, and then watch out for all these landmines to the south side should we reverse course. And I think that's it for now. Let's go to the daily and see what is happening. When we look at technical analysis, the RSI is curving, could be rolling over, but we still have room to move to the upside. And I know this is hard to see, but the purple lines are from 2025. I could delete every single one, but I choose to keep it because I like to see where we've been. All right, this is the current price area right here. So one window to the north side will take us to 31.95, and then all the way to the middle of the trend would take us back to roughly 16.32, which would close out all of these, but I don't know if we're going to get there. We'll see. And Trader Lalate said, or messaged me a little while ago and said, would price ever get back to $35? If so, what is the probable time frame? So $35 is right here. So we are just down here, 29.30 right here. So we have to get to this level. And I'll put it back on the 5 and see if I can show you that. But this is the next target, 35.07. Let's just mark it right there. This 32, what is that? Oh, wait a minute. So we have a gap right here too. I just put it in a different color so I didn't recognize it. But that gap right here, did that touch? No, it did not. So that gap is the next gap to fill at 32.67. Now I bought in a long time ago, it seems, at 9.35. So let's go back to, well, while I'm here, let's go to the weekly so you can see this also in the big picture. So we are here. So one level to the north side takes us back to roughly 57.85. And the RSI is turning up on the weekly. And on the monthly, let's just look at the RSI only. And we've got plenty of room to move to the upside. Let's go back to the 5. When can we hit $35? And that is up here. So that safely could hit, if we continue our upward channel, possibly by Friday the 19th. And then beyond as well if we continue to climb. But obviously if we shoot with a wick up, not here, $35 would take it all the way here. So yeah, still that range of the 19th. All right, I'll be watching that. Let's take a look at Tsla because it ran. Oh, wait, one other thing I want to show you with Soxl. So let's squeeze that down. So I still own, yeah, I wonder why it's not marking out the line. Weird. At 9.35 in the pink. That's where I put my buy lines. And then I also bought some. Oh yeah, that's the 9.35. All right, I've traded this a couple of times. So I still own shares at 26.80 and 26.95. So looking at this, if I wanted to try to get out, which I do have a sell order in, a sell limit, I'm going to try to get rid of my lots that I bought at 26.80, and that is 26.80, whoops, right here. I think my sell order is right there for a 14% return. I'm playing it conservatively within -2 and 2 standard deviations, and obviously the calculations will continue to change on the time frame that you're playing. But these are the outer bands, which I don't ever expect to get to, because again, TradingView for the linear always resets it. All right, now let's go over, I'll delete that, to Tsla. I'm in this trade also. So I could hit a sell order up here for myself at 405. Morgan Stanley maintains overweight ratings with price targets above 400. Stifel predicts a potential rise to 440, indicating a 25% upside, while the one-year price target is now $500, according to the analysts, because we hit the target here of 318, And the next one will be $500 based on 50 analysts rating this. Okay, now let's give you, oops, I want to change that. I meant to change that into purple. So here are your price targets for Monday. 405.54. So there you go. To 400 according to that, but I'm going to say to 405. And then after that, ignore that 411. That's an old price target. That's 412.35, and don't hold your breath for price to get to this level. 419.55. You know what's going to happen if we do. That is definitely a pullback area, a potential sell limit, sell limit, and sell limit. I'm going to play conservatively. I like to play it between 2 and 3 SDs, and then if I really don't want to give up my shares, but I'm like, what the heck, if we potentially get to this level, then I'm going to give it to you. That's what I would do. That's how I trade. All right, to the south side, the baseline takes us back to roughly 391.67. I'll explain the green lines in just a moment. The yellow line is from 2024. 377.73, that's how long it's taken us to get here. And 370.61, 363.79 for support. So support, 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 a potential stop loss area. We've got this tiny gap right here. It's tiny. I shouldn't even waste my time marking it out. But just for giggles, if you are new to trading, this is one strategy that might help you for a potential buy-in area for the pullbacks, even though that's for some not a great pullback, but nonetheless, that is a pullback area. And that will be right here at 368.93. Boom. All right. This is resistance, and you know what happens. We sold off, started going sideways, tried to make another leg up, sideways. Will we make another leg up and go sideways, or will we hit support, bounce off that, go up, or fall down to close out this gap? Here's a potential buy-in area right on cue. We have this gap to the south side at another pullback area at 338.89. I have shares at 343.67. Yeah, that's steep. I should have sold out when we hit 488.54 at the 52-week high, and I didn't. I wasn't paying attention. And now I want to lock in, even though I'm like, oh, I could have made so much more money. But that's okay. I still own it also in ETF, so I'm not worried about that. But I also own it at 230, 222, 165, and I think these levels in shares. But I'd like to get rid of my 343.67, and that way I can buy back in cheaper. And people think, how the heck is Tesla selling cars going to get to 500? And you have to remember, it's just not all about the cars. They also do solar. They have the restaurant in California now with, I guess, more restaurants in store. And they also do AI. So you think one car company? No, that's just not that. And charging stations. And then they have many things and solar. My neighbor has their solar program, and he's never really had major problems. Like my other neighbor who has Sunrun, forget it. I would never buy that. If I were going to do, solar or charging stations, it would be Tesla. All right, what else? Let's go to the daily and see what is happening here. It's kind of slow. Okay, ignore this. All these white horizontal lines is when I tracked it for my gap and goes, and it filled everything that I was tracking, so I stopped tracking it. But there are other gaps that formed afterward. 453.98, and remember the next target is $500. This was an old target. 472 was an old target. 497 was an old target, and now $500, which I'll mark off later. All right, all I care about is the RSI. It's getting frothy, okay? So watch out. when you look back at the RSI, let's see, the highest we've ever gone is up here. You can mark that out for your reference. Looks like, whoops. I don't know what the heck happened there. Let's try it again. Oh, let's try that. Yeah, that's the highest it's been. And we're right here. Okay, so we've got some room before we hit that critical area. We've already hit it. We're above 2 standard wait, oh shoot. What am I saying? There. I hit something. I meant to do that up here. So let's just go back to this level. So we are 395.94. We're already overextended here, so I think we're going to go up and then roll over for a pullback. So watch that happen. And what's happening on the weekly for the RSI? So we've got room to go up as well. And on the monthly, plenty of room to go to the upside. But on the monthly, the linear regression is not in play because it doesn't go out. I don't have it set on my lengths to capture it. Now on the weekly, I do. So on the weekly, while I'm here, this is where we are. To the upside, one channel would take us to 458 and close out that gap, which would be lovely. But I anticipate a pullback before that happens. Back to the 5. Oh, we have this. Oh, that was a great opportunity to buy in for the pullback, which I have not cleaned up Tsla in a while. Okay, that took us down to 329.64 and closed out Friday, August the 15th. Congrats if you went short and nailed it. But we went down a little more, and then that's your sell point. And then what else? So this gap to the upside, this is an anticipated move to the upside, closed out Friday, August the 8th, took us to 332.20. And this baby gap. See, if you just become an expert at one ticker, you'd have time to really take a look at all the moves. And this closed out, so 314.99 is done. This touched right here, so this gap is done. That took us down to 296.40. So I traded or talked about this with Trader Murat. He is amazing at technical analysis. And what else? That's closed. I think that's it. I think oh no, I spoke too soon. This gap, what happened here? I need to clean this one up. So I extended it, but I don't know when it touches. So I have to clean that up, and that touched basically on June 25th, the 11th. Sorry, June 11th, 2025. That took us to 331.87. This ticker can slam you around like crazy. And then we've got gaps to the south side for pullbacks. Another pullback here. And here to 201. Hopefully we don't tank that hard. All right, I think that is it. Oh, there's one I have to clean up. Then I'm moving on here. All right, the next one, so that's Tsla. I've already done MU. I had to go because I had somebody come over, so I stopped recording that. But look at that. I tracked this at 135. The last time I was able to do it, we went a leg up, went sideways, leg up, sideways, leg up, and here we are. So why don't I just give you price targets right now very quickly, and that's all I'm going to do. So we are here, 157.23, and thank you, and here is, oops, sorry, 157.23. Okay, resistance. Middle of the trend, baseline where we could chop sideways. Take profit. 161.23, 166.58, 169.32, and at another date down the road, 171.99. RSI is already starting to fall, so we will probably close this gap. Let's turn that red. So we have this gap in play, as well as this gap in play. I do own MU as well, and I own it at $81.51. Should I have sold out? Probably at this 158.28 high that we made again on Friday. We've made 3 consecutive highs this past week, and I didn't take profit. Boom. Yeah. That's okay. I mean, I could wait for the next leg up, which would be, was it 200? Yeah, 200 bucks is the next leg up. Okay, I'm done talking about this. I was going to do TSM, Baidu, because I own all that as well, but I'm more interested in Palantir. It ran also. Just when you think, oh, I want to pull back to the 120s or 150s for a buy-in, and then boom, it runs again. It's just nuts. So here we are, but we're not at the 52-week high. 190 was. So there's your pullback, and very quickly, let's mark this out. 171.43. I'm going to do that in purple. Oh, that's my lengths, okay. What was I going to do over here? I don't know. Oh, I was just going to pull back. All right. Because there's a gap right there that will take us to 173.97. This thing is still running up, so we could possibly touch this. This will be resistance, roll over for another attempt to close that out. All right, now your price targets. 173.60, 175.57, and at another date in time, 177.61. But if we hit it with the wick, you know what's going to happen. Now, support, or one level of support, many levels in between, 169.53, 165.56. This gap forms at 164.82, closes out at 163.44, and another pullback area, 162.50, or potential stop loss area. It depends on what side of the line you bought. I'm also deep into this trade here. Well, I'm not trading it because I own it. I'm not selling it anymore. But looking left, clear support and a bounce. This is resistance. We sold off a little bit because we chopped sideways. Next leg up right here, sold off. This turns into support. All right. And I think I've cleaned, oh no, yeah, yeah, that's done. Let me see here. We gapped down. Oh, no wonder I'm confused. This should be in green because we gapped down. We gapped to fill it to this upside. It's been a while since I looked at this. Okay, and boom, right there, Monday the 25th of August, we closed. That took us to 158.29. This one completed also the gap, took us up to 157.06. That one's closed. Okay, 173. Oh, and we have one at 181.07. So watch out for that. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Lunch is served. I love it. I gotta quit here and go eat. All right. This closed to the downside at 160.83. Delete. Delete. Okay, that touched, so let me clean that up. Yeah, it's been a while, like I said, since I've looked at this. And that's done. I'm losing it. Did I already show you this on the daily? Let's see when we can get back to record highs. Oh, I made notes to myself that TradingView crashed. All right, this is the daily. We've got room to move to the upside. And just for giggles, I don't need to do this. Yeah, my chart looks like a hot mess. I had a viewer say, all I need to look at is basically supply and command. No, demand, just kidding. That's a line in a movie. And he said to get rid of all the other stuff. And I'm like, just these lines, yes, it looks like a hot mess, just like my life. Just kidding. But I know what every line looks like. And I leave these because I just like to see where we've been. And once it gets too close to another line, then yeah, I'll go and delete it. But you know what? You trade the way you like to because it will not make sense to anyone else but yourself. Don't even do what I do. I mean, I barely have any subscribers anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm talking to the air. But if you happen to use and trade the way I trade, I tell you, it does work. It has worked for me, and I've made a lot, okay? That's all I have to say. Anyway, oh yes, back to this. I digressed. So we've got plenty of room to move to the upside here, but once we get to this level, even down here, watch out for a reversal because there's always one. So we have a gap, all these gaps to the downside. All right, and I bought in down here. All these lines are my buy lines. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to step out on a limb and buy it at 67.70. I sold all the shares at that level. And what else? I think that's it. That's the last time I bought in. No, I bought, oops, Command Z to undo something you didn't mean to do. So where are we? 171.43. All right. So this is where we are. So to the north side takes us back to a level we've been, 187.40. And back to the middle of the trend, roughly 164.52 for a pullback. That's the daily, and just for giggles, I'm going to look at the RSI. If I did this already, just obviously you're not even listening anyway. Getting frothy on the weekly and on the monthly, way completely overextended. All right, now back to the 5, and that will do it for me. I'm going to go eat lunch. If there's a ticker you want me to go over, please let me know. I will be doing these gap and go trades very quickly. And then I might do Home Depot again because I have to go buy a washer. So I'm going to go check it out. All right, have a great trading week.